Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patch Notes 6.4. This is, of course, the only place you want to be and need to be. Joining me tonight, obviously, is going to be Sir Bonus Content, also known as Control Salt, Saltiness. And, I think I nailed it, right?
That's pretty much
That's just
every alias I go by.
That's just how it goes. Although, if you would have noticed on Twitter yesterday, somebody else caught the salt. I don't know if you saw my tweet. it's pretty good. Anyways, we're going
You're
to talk
gonna have
about...
to gap fill while I go look for that tweet.
That's fine. Anyways, we're going to talk about the patch in depth, tell you what's happening in it, and we're going to also ask you to hit that like button because it makes our insides warm and fuzzy. It's also free to do, so who doesn't like free to do things, right? Just like League of Legends until it takes all your money.
Yeah.
Got him. So there's a lot of interesting things happening in this patch. I like it, though. Overall, the patch looks pretty decent. Some nerfs, some buffs. Let's go over and talk about the first one being the Champion of Ahri. The Champion of Ahri is seeing a change on her charm, where charm can no longer interrupt dashes. Charm will still apply after their movement ends. So, for example, if Xin Zhao dashes to her, if she tags him with charm, he'll still be charmed, but he's going to close that gap, not get stopped halfway through it.
Which is actually kind of a nerf.
Yeah, it is.
Most of the time you get caught with charm when you're like initiating your lunge, and so normally you're lunging away or
Which, it's a nerf for her, but I don't think it's that, like, oh my god, this changes the entire game. Yeah, it's an impactful nerf, no doubt, but I think the big thing to take away from this, in some cases, is if you tag the charm, you typically win the trade most of the time, you could say, right?
Yeah.
Even if Xin Zhao makes it to you, and he eats that charm, he's still going to be charmed after he's on you. That makes it easier to land things, in my opinion. It just, it brings them closer, and that's okay with Ahri sometimes, so I don't expect this to really mess her up too much. Personally.
One of the matchups that I always remember with, because I used to play LeBlanc a whole lot, you know that, but Ahri was always just a pain in the ass because if she caught you with charm mid jump, and I'm just thinking of like that context, because it'll still do the you'll actually hit the damage now, won't you?
You should. I don't think that's a dash.
QRW. Oh, it's not a dash. It's
I don't
not
think that
qualified
counts
as a dash.
Does it count as a dash? I don't. Well, no, because you would technically have the. Yeah, no, I think it counts as a dash.
So it would activate the sigil. So are you going to get your full combo off? That basically wins the lane for LeBlanc.
Yeah, it means LeBlanc's not necessarily countered by that. Yeah, some of these will be interesting, but once again, landing it in that period of time is difficult. So that's the one thing I will say. Landing charm while LeBlanc distorts after they've buffed it back up, a little bit more difficult. But if you're ready for it, you can totally do it. A good LeBlanc player should try to keep a minion
in between.
But we shall see. But that's all right. Next up, we have Ashe, which is so odd. I'm just kidding. On her Ranger's focus, focus stacks fall off one at a time after 4 seconds. The active duration now will be 5 seconds instead of 4, instead of entirely after 4 seconds. So,
pretty good buff because Q is a little underpowered.
Yeah, after they nerfed it, a couple patches ago, it kind of felt underwhelming.
It was almost a year ago, Andrew, or half a year ago. Right after Ashe got reworked, they changed it.
No, I thought they
did. And then they changed it back. Or they changed it again.
But I thought they changed it a couple patches ago, just a little bit.
Because I'm talking about compared to what it used to be, because you could just W a wave, and each minion that it hit will give you a stack, so you could just W one wave and then get all of your stacks and have Ranger focus.
Yeah, that's right.
And now they made it so individual target hits, but I just felt like there wasn't enough duration to charge it and then initiate a fight. I don't know.
No, okay, that makes sense. But I wasn't thinking about it that way.
I like it. I like the active duration going up because you get another auto and a half, two autos.
She's I believe I have her in a B tier for ADC. She's not bad. She's just not as strong as some of the others. So
the ultimate is underrated still.
I do agree. It's huge, and I think bot lanes don't utilize it enough. Just use it point blank. Have a Morgana, then just walk up and then ult, and then land the bind after that they're locked in. I mean, that's a solid like 4 seconds of crowd control, like of just constant. You don't get to go anywhere. So, yeah, she can be used quite well. It's just she's just not up there all the way. Next, we actually have Caitlyn, who I actually thought was in a decent spot, but she's actually been getting some buffs. So let's talk about them. First off, on her W, on her Snapchat, the target damage that they take from stepping on it when she gets that headshot, it's actually going to be getting a buff. So instead of it being a percentage damage that's increased, it's actually going to be a base amount that then scales off of attack damage. So it's going to be a good amount more. So when people step on those, they will actually get punished a little bit more, which is kind of good considering Snaptraps don't actually do any damage now when you step on them. They just reveal you. So if Caitlyn's not around, go step on all her traps. They don't deal any damage to you, so step on them. Get them out of the way. And then on her 90 caliber net, it's actually going to be getting a better cooldown at rank 1, which typically you're going to max this out last. So having 2 seconds off of it for that long duration of the game, it's pretty helpful for whether you want to tag people with it and then get the headshot bonus, or if you just need to hop walls or get away from people. So I like these changes, although I think she's already pretty good. So
yeah, that's a pretty big increase on your ultra. Because what do you have at in game, like 300 attack damage minimum?
Yeah, roughly.
So it's total attack damage, not bonus attack damage. So that's like another 210 damage. So
yeah,
you're getting 400 damage extra on your already
probably critting
headshot.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing is though, I kind of understand it in some cases. Like this is gonna really hurt squishy targets, but I've shot a few tanks because the tanks try to eat them. You know, I've shot tanks and like done almost nothing for damage and be like, "Ooh, I hit him for 100. He's got 6,000 life."
So that's probably what they're trying to do is
yeah,
or maybe like I don't know. This is a good change. I like it, but Caitlyn's still just really good at shoving down turrets. I don't think these changes change her into like a team fighter at all.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So, who's up next? It's Ezreal. A lot of people have thought Ezreal is super amazing. I don't think he's bad. I just think it's a gamble when you play him as blue build Ezreal. If you are behind a little bit, you really don't have damage for like the first 17 minutes of the game, like at all. You really don't have any damage. The way they're gonna nerf him here is they're gonna add 40 seconds to his ultimate to make it longer, because since most people are building blue Ezreal, he's getting a handful of cooldown reduction. So they're saying you're having your ult too often because you're having 40%, so they're just going to nerf the time on it up to 2 minutes. I'm okay with the change. I don't think it's the world's biggest impact, but it will prevent him from pushing certain lanes or helping clear or just having it. I mean, the ult can hurt, but for the most part, he's just going to be spamming Qs. So
I think, like you said, the clear is what the key is here, because most professional, like I think this hurts professional play Ezreal the most, because what they do is they just sit him in middle and they'd ult the side lanes, and basically you even if you didn't kill the minions, it would just still switch it to pushing in your favor without actually having to leave lane. So not so much like normal Q or like ranked Q play, but pretty big in competitive play.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with this. Like it was on way too short of a cooldown.
And I'm gonna say it again just for people, because people always ask me about champion strengths, weaknesses, and they like the tier list, even though a lot of people hate it because they don't understand, which is their problem. But Ezreal's a gamble pick. It's against tanky teams. He doesn't really do tons of damage. Squishy teams, he'll annihilate them because the kite and the Qs they do hurt. But you have to realize though, when you play him for the first 20 minutes, if you have just a standard game where you don't get super fed, you do not really have a significant damage output for a long time. So you really don't have a lot of damage to rely on if you do get into a lot of early fights, and he can fall behind really bad because of it. So
you essentially need what, 2,000 gold to do damage with Ezreal, because you get tier for 750, and then Sheen has 1050 or 1050.
Yeah.
So you have to get 2,000 gold before you do any damage, and your damage is completely reliant on hitting Q.
And if you don't go Sheen after you pick up tier, and let's say you go pickaxe because you had enough for 875, you need 1,600 gold for effectively a pickaxe, when that person could have Boots sword. 1, BF sword, or BF sword and another long sword. Like the power difference is really, really big. It's like the equivalent of somebody coming back to lane with a long sword and the other person coming back with a bilge water. Like that's like almost the equivalent.
Yep.
You don't want to pick that fight. So That's one of the reasons why I don't like Ezreal. So I think he's fun to play. I like the old school build. Actually Triforce, you do hit people really hard.
I've actually seen that pop up a whole lot more.
If you're a really skilled Ezreal and you can land your Qs and you can dance around the fights, it does way more damage.
Which is kind of, it was kind of confusing though, because I saw Mirror Mana and then Triforce, so it's just like.
It's because they want to still be able to spam Q, because you still get the Sheen proc on Q, but you get it from Triforce instead of Frozen Gauntlet.
Oh no, I get it, but it's just like.
You still delay yourself.
Wouldn't it be better to just go like a crit build then?
I think you gotta auto a lot. I think there's a weird tendency that you should, but his auto range is not amazing.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's a gamble. I think you can play it. I'll play crit Ezreal, but yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, to say the least. So, yeah. Next up though, we're gonna talk about Fiora. She's on the list. She's finally getting touched on her W.
Phrasing.
W. Repost. Cooldown is going to be increased at all ranks. A lot longer early, too. I mean, I like the change. You can't use it quite as much, but, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Is it enough?
Yeah. I mean, let's say she builds Black Cleaver, and some of the she's going to get cooldown reduction, so it's still going to get low.
Post is still just like one of the... Like, I actually think that her W is probably one of the best abilities in the game when used properly.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
That isn't an ultimate.
Yeah. And then I think she's technically getting another nerf here on blade work. The cooldown is being reduced, but now the cooldown doesn't start when you cast it. It casts on second hit, or the cooldown begins. I don't know how that's actually going to affect things.
I think if you're fighting mid-fight,
it'll be okay.
It'll be the same, but if you like activate it right before you go into the fight, it'll be longer, obviously.
Yeah.
So
hopefully this is what fixes her. I really think her ultimate does too much damage personally.
The true damage from it?
Yeah, it still eats through way too much.
I agree.
But I'm a hater. So yeah, Fiora's getting changes. Hopefully this brings her a little bit of power, but I'm not convinced. No damage numbers were actually touched. I know this can affect her output of damage, but nothing on the Q, nothing on the other shenanigans. So next up is Gangplank. So Gangplank is getting nerfed. That's pretty straightforward. But I want to talk about Gangplank as a champion and power-wise after we talk about the nerfs. So first up, Q Gold Parlay, it's being decreased from, instead of 4 scaling up to 8, it's going to be 2 up to 6. Yes, he will obviously make less gold. That's obvious. No damage changes, though, anything like that. So just less gold from that. Powder Keg, he can now only actually have 3 barrels at all levels, though, is when he gets them. So instead of him getting a 3rd barrel at rank 2 in his E, he now just has 3 all the time. And the charge time on it is going to start the same and actually get better, but that's only because you have 3. So at late game, you need to have them coming up more quickly if you're only allowed to have 3 instead of 5. So nerf overall, but they kind of buffed it back up, though, so it's not as crappy. And then Cannon Barrage obviously no longer increases the maximum numbers of barrels per rank, so you don't have to worry about that. So I think the things to take away is, yes, you won't be rolling in as much gold, although realistically farm better.
Well, it's, like you're thinking in a max game, like let's say like 25 minutes you have 200 CS, probably what, 70% of those are going to be parlayed?
At most.
So you're talking 300 gold.
Yeah.
Which is like
1 kill. Yeah.
Like,
which is 12 minions.
Yeah.
12 to 14 minions. I mean, yeah.
It's a lot, but it's not.
Yeah, no, it is gold, but it's not like, oh, he makes no gold now. So just that's one thing to take away. The other thing too is, I think this will make Gangplank players with powder keg changes. This will make you have to not be so sloppy. You can't just spam barrels praying you're gonna do some crazy chain with 5 of them. Like, you won't just spam barrels like an idiot, because previously you could. You could pretty much just be like, barrels, yay, all the time. You actually need to think about what you're doing. It takes some of the stupidness out of it, like you just can't do something because why not? It's a terrible way to have a champion set up. So I think obviously he's still going to do damage, because typically when I get into a fight, I want to have 2 barrels up and I want to chain them together. I want to start one on a countdown, throw one in, and chain off the one I threw down first. That they shouldn't have as much reach to get to. So realistically, that's the big change. You'll still pull at least 4 barrels during a fight. If you had 3, you'll at least pull another one over 10 seconds. So, I mean, he still has plenty for the output. So,
It'll just separate the really good Gangplank players from the
exactly.
bad.
It takes
you won't
out
be able to just
the
pick him up
stupidness.
and crush with him anymore.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, he should take a little bit more skill to play. So, yeah, those are the changes to him. Next, we have Alawi. Now is immune to being displaced while in her cast animation for Leap of Faith, which is her ultimate. This is a pretty hardcore bug because that would suck to get that canceled.
Yep.
So pretty good change to help her out. She's kind of meh right now. She's actually the only champion who hasn't been picked in all the leagues across the world for competitive play.
She reminds me a lot of old Garen. Like, her early game is fine.
Yeah, kind of.
But then her late game is just beyond terrible.
I don't know if it's beyond terrible. It's a nice sword. But it's not... Yeah, it's way less impactful than you'd want it to be. Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's just easily kited. Not a whole lot of damage output late game.
Yeah.
Even when built 80.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of not impactful late game to me. But I haven't seen too many of them for some reason.
I think it's because people kind of found out that they were winning laning phase, and that's it. I mean, it just after that, nothing at all. So that is a positive change, but nothing like super crazy. So
yeah.
Next up, we do have Free Win Jin, so I call him.
What?
What?
Side column. Oh, Jin.
Yeah, Jin.
I thought you said Zin.
No, sorry, Jin.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
His base movement speed is actually going to be increased by 5. Probably a good thing. He needs the mobility. Base health regen going up. Health regeneration growth stat is going up as well, and they updated the recommended items. Hopefully they recommended them to the build that I just made because mine's the most correct. And if you don't follow it, you're bad. I'm going to say it because I'm right on that one. Thank you for agreeing with me, Kyle. So, other changes happening to him. So on his passive, 4th bullet will mini crit structures for 44% reduced damage. Still does not apply the execute damage. All bonus attack speed will now be appropriately reduced by attack speed slows. Base attack speed remains fixed. And fix the bug where Jin would lose rapid fire cannon's bonus range while reloading. Oh, that would be sucky. So some positive changes there. On his W, marks will no longer fall off when Jin is casting Deadly Flourish. Is now considered single target versus champion. On his E, now applies Deadly Flourish's mark to all the champions it slows or damages, not just the ones present when it triggers. And then on Curtain Call, it is now considered single target versus champions, and they fixed a bug where enemies would sometimes stutter or the edge of Jin's screen while ulting, which I have seen that one multiple times. It is super stupid. So overall, a lot of positive changes to him. I really think he's not a bad champion. I know I call him Free Win Jin because
there's a lot of bad players.
Because there's a lot of bad people playing him. He can do really good damage, and he can be pretty versatile. The biggest thing is, like, with all ADCs, you need to be really, really thinking about your positioning and how where you're at can not only keep you safe, but can allow you to deal the damage that you need to deal. And with him, I think it's even harder because he's got no way to escape like Kog'Maw, similar to Kog'Maw. That's another champion that's the same way. Like, where can I be to get maximum damage but not die? Mm-hmm. Jin's the same way. Now, the thing about Jin, though, is he can do this from crazy range. You can always throw down traps. You can always shoot people with your super long skill shot W. It's this W, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can always, worst case scenario, start off a fight with your ultimate from way outside of range to start slowing people down for your team and dealing significant damage because your 4th bullet's going to crit like crazy regardless. So it's a lot of the player and not the champion that I think everybody's doing it so wrong. Does that make sense? Because you've seen me play Jin a few times in Crush, right? You've been in those games.
The thing about Jin with me is he basically, like, I know that there's some good Jhin players out there, but I haven't seen one like just crush lane.
Oh, me?
I haven't seen one crush lane and like bottom.
Oh, yes, I
And
agree with
so and
that.
so the best Jhin players that I've seen are the ones like you said that wait until the fight actually starts and then ult like from ridiculous distances and do the damage that way and then come in and clean up
Yeah,
afterwards with the bounce thing and like, his other abilities.
yeah.
But like so I think it's really good when the team has hard engage. Like if the team has a Malphite or the team has, some like Diana or like a Kali or like something that can jump or like Rengar where he
Right.
can like literally just stand way, way back. And so that person has no choice but to jump on someone else. But he's just he's just got such a weird play style that I haven't even learned how to play with it yet. Because you still have to get used to fighting 4v5 and like expecting the damage to come through, and it's chance damage too. I know it's pretty easy to hit, but like it's still chance damage.
Yes.
So I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's good.
Okay. I can see his damage output potential, but yes, I think it's very difficult to actually do it. So
Yeah, and I think they need to freaking change his E. Like it needs to. If
yeah,
you
it's not
like,
that good.
I don't
Should
think
take
that.
partial damage just for stepping on it.
I don't know if that is even true. Like I think that it it needs to be so if you like stutter at all, like if you're walking through and you like don't have tier 2 boots and E is at max rank, then you're going to take that damage. Or like
I'm pretty sure you can walk out of it right now without even having boots.
exactly.
It's
So
pretty
like
easy.
they need to make it so you can barely get out of it before
Yeah.
it explodes. So like a full second less. Maybe.
Although here's the counterpoint to that, and I'm not a big fan of this one either, but Karma, her Q,
Mantra?
Mantra Q, kind of the same thing. You can always get out of it as
But
long as
most
you
of it
start
does
moving.
damage on the initial like I know it does the same
It's true. It
damage
does
for
do.
both, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you're still taking that damage.
I agree. I agree. About
But
the only good thing Jin's E does is it marks them, so he
yeah,
can. Yeah, that's.
so you can W him.
But if you W him immediately, they should get stuck in it. But yes, it's still difficult. So
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't think he's a good champion, and I also don't think he's as bad as everybody says he is.
yeah. So,
So,
so that's him. Next up is Katarina. What? Katarina. Although, comically, I have to point this out because I think it's funny. Yes, Katarina used to be super overpowered, like Season 2. But that's
yeah.
because there wasn't tons of CC and she literally could just do whatever she wanted.
And now every champion has CC?
Yeah, and so she's really countered a lot harder. But somebody the other day on the other channel said, when are they gonna nerf Katarina? And I just couldn't stop laughing. I was like, couldn't tell if you're trolling or serious. She's getting a buff. They're going to be buffing her Q ability power detonation ratio. Which I think is solid because it feels pretty crappy early. Not that that's going to be any more helpful because she's not going to really have a lot of AP, but it's just a little bit of a buff there. Damage is no longer reduced on targets beyond the first, though, which is also kind of nice. That's the big buff that really is coming in on this. It's going to help her out in the lane a lot more, considering her laning phase has only been getting harder, I think, as seasons have progressed, really. So if you're a Katarina player, boom, perfect, right?
It does a lot for Katarina in the fact that it'll be easier to push waves. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but still, any damage you can get while using it on minions is good because that's primarily your main farming tool when going up against ranged opponents. But then you can also get the like bounce off the minions and hit the champion and get the max damage anyway. So I don't think that Katarina is going to be like a top pick. I don't think that she's going to be overpowered because of these changes. I think that she's still going to be like one of those people where if you don't CC her, then she's going to run amok, and if you do, then she's dead.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's just mostly a quality of life change. Where does she sit right now? She has a 47% win rate. Yeah, she's not very high up. So, yeah, good changes for Kat. Next up is Kog'Maw. I know everybody kind of was hating on me a little bit for me saying I don't think Kog'Maw's going to become God. Yeah, granted, he got picked a lot in the LCS, but he didn't win every game. And also, I still have yet to see a solid one in any kind of solo queue play. They're still crap. He's still so easy to kill.
Yeah.
this is the Jin thing again. They're not the world's greatest positioners. They're easy to kill, and then they just die, and who cares? Like seriously, like not a problem. But besides that, if you are good with him, keep it going. It can work. They're going to be nerfing his base attack speed though, from 0.665 to 0.625. So a little bit less attack speed early. I know people probably would be like, oh, they finally nerfed the god mob. I don't think he was a god still. Unless you're like freaking Reckless and Gamsu's playing Malphite because they didn't get Malphite. Like, I don't even care. I don't even... Kog'Maw.
I think any AD carry where you can't flex it out isn't very good. And what I mean by that is you have to build a team around Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
And I don't really like Kog'Maw because you're basically forfeiting the lane. And if you can, like, you see it a lot in the LCS, if you can get that 2v2 lane, which almost never happens, but if you can get that 2v2 lane, then you're just going to shit on the lane unless they have a Soraka. So you either have to have Soraka and Lulu plus a front line, or like some...
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like champions like that, because then you see them in LCS and it works great and they destroy, and then people pick it up, play solo queue, and feed.
Yeah.
So
but somebody did ask though just now. So does this make a difference?
Yeah, it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference for the bad players.
Yes.
Because it won't really affect the pro scene because they're going to use their Ws at correct times anyway.
Yeah. So
you get that attack speed buff. This is for those people that don't really know how to play Kog'Maw that well and don't know how to W correctly, because you're obviously going to attack slower. Yes. So,
but like you said though, team comps where you got to build around Kog'Maw, like you can't go into like solo queue and be like, you know what, Kog'Maw's the world's best ADC right now, right? All right, I'll just first pick him, or we'll just pick him. But yeah, if you don't build the team that can really help you out, because let's say that your support is like, well, I just play Braum. I'm like, yeah, okay, a little bit of peel, but not like Janna or Raka heals. And then let's say the enemy team's like, oh, they got a Kog'Maw? Okay, you play Rengar, I'll play Zed, and then we'll have a Malphite. Like, screw your day. Nobody likes you.
Well, let's be real. Malphite pretty much counters all AD carries.
He kind of does. I agree. But, yeah. No. I mean, I think the big thing to say, though, is it's so hard to play a champion when you have to have pretty much at least 2 to 3 other people on your team.
Solely dedicated to you.
Exactly. So... Next up is Lucian. He's actually getting a nerf, but this isn't, I don't think, the world's biggest. I mean, yes, it'll be significantly felt, but it's something I think we've been living with as a luxury for a while. Yes. His ult range is being reduced by 200, down from 1400 to 1200. He definitely is a strong ADC right now. There's definitely no arguing that. He's quite good for multiple reasons, but... This should take a little bit of power out of him when he's really stretching for kills that he maybe shouldn't be picking up, so this really will kind of cut that down. I'm okay with this. I like to play Lucian. I think he's still going to be in a solid spot. This just takes a little bit of power out of some of the ridiculousness that he can have. Because considering the rest of his kit and his actual range on his abilities, this seems... As I think of this nerf, I think of, oh, I guess that makes sense that this wouldn't be so long. Because nothing else in his kit's outrageously long,
Yeah.
So why would this need to be as long?
Yep.
Or more, or even longer? So, because it does a lot of damage too at rank 1 if you land him.
Oh yeah.
You can one-shot someone with his ult.
I think that, in my personal opinion, Lucian benefited the most from the rework to the AD items, just because of the new Essence Reaver and the way you can build. It's kind of changed now that they've nerfed rapid fire cannon so much, but you could just basically build Essence Reaver boots and then build like a Zeal into IE, and just like at that point in the game when you have that half item and those 2 full items, you could 1v1 anyone. And I don't think this is going to change that at all, obviously, but it will cut down on some of the BS kills that he could get when you were like running away. Yeah. So it'll take some time for me to get used to, because I play a lot of Lucian. Yeah.
Like when you're way behind your turret and he's not even taking turret damage, and the Cole is still hitting, and you're like, what?
Yep.
So, it's not a Caitlyn ult. Come on. Next up is Malphite. He's been seeing more play, and because ADCs are having a hard time with him, he will be getting a nerf. His base health regen is going to be lowered from 8.374. It seems like an old number that they made up. Is now going to be 7, so he's got a little bit less there. And then his ground slam damage, it will still be the same at rank 1, but then after that, it will be nerfed by 20 once you get it to rank 5. I mean, it's a bit. It's not like outrageous, but any damage off of someone who's a super tank and doesn't really need all that damage, it's going to be impactful. So, realistically, you don't really pick him because you say, oh, well, at least my ground slam has tons of damage. You pick him because you say, at least my ultimate can hit their whole team and knock them all up and deal a lot of damage to the squishy champions we're trying to get to. So, impactful, yes. I think the big thing here is his base health regen. That could be problematic in certain matchups, because anytime you're losing regen...
Quinn?
This does help Quinn out a little bit, but overall, he's still going to probably bully her a little bit. And ground slam isn't really the bread and butter for him. This will also, slow his clear down a little bit. So,
I think that as long as like double and triple AD comps are prevalent, you're going to see Malphite because he can basically destroy a team fight by himself.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think he needs to be in the game, because if he wasn't in the game, then AD carries would be really, really strong.
He sets up the possibility to counter a team focusing on having multiple AD carry threats.
Yep.
Because if you didn't, then everybody would just, like, realistically right now, if Malphite, let's just say Malphite wasn't a champion in the game, every game would have 3 AD carries. Probably.
What I would want to see from, like, they could have left all this stuff the same and just decrease the slow that was on his Q. Because when you max it up to max rank, it's like 40 or 50%, and it's not on that long of a cooldown.
Feels like weather. The only thing that counters is the fact that it does cost him a good amount of mana. That's about the only thing that helps there.
Yeah. Yep.
But Malphite. Next up, we got Rumble.
This is actually my least favorite change
in the patch.
Yes.
So Rumble on his Electro Harpoon now works on an ammo system with a max of 2 charges. 1 charge per 5 seconds, and then 10 heat per charge. Slow duration will only be 2 seconds now instead of 3. If Rumble overheats using Electro Harpoon, he'll be able to fire while silence as long as he has 1 charge, which is the same thing as live. So if you were overheating because of Electro Harpoon, you could still shoot the second cast in that duration. This will be interesting. I don't know how I feel about this change. Overall, you could say it's a nerf, but it doesn't make him have to use his second one like he would when he had to use it originally,
Yeah.
So you can space him out more, but I'm interested to see how it affects his play.
It's more along the lines of, it feels like it's a nerf. Obviously, it's getting just flat, slow nerfed, but outside of that, you still have the cost for heat, and then you get a maximum of 2 per 10 seconds because they charge once every 5 seconds. So I don't believe that his E was on a 10-second cooldown previously.
No, I don't think so.
So
8
you're
maybe?
you're like, even though you can space them out, you don't have to use them back to back, you're still losing potential damage.
Yep.
So I actually really like Rumble, because I think Rumble is one of the few champions in the game that actually requires a lot of skill to play correctly. And I liked the fact that I saw him in the jungle recently. That was kind of something that, tickled my fancy, but I don't think this is going to break him. I don't think that he's going to be awful. I just don't like, I hate charges. I just hate the charge system.
Yeah.
For no in particular reason.
I kind of hear you on that.
It's another thing to keep track of.
Yeah, charges, yeah, I agree. It's kind of nice knowing what it does, what it did, what it needs to do. Yes. I'm actually trying to look up right now what the... This is not telling me. I'm so upset. It makes me so sad. Oh, now are you working? Oh, and then it doesn't work. I'm going to kill you, game.
I'll get him.
Get him. I'm going to get him, boys. Get him. Get him, boys. Well, we should talk about who's next then, I guess, if this is going to load. Are you going to tell? Oh, it's going to tell me now. Fantastic. Yeah, no, it is on 10-second cooldown, actually.
Oh, so it's the same. It doesn't go down at all?
No, it's just flat.
And can does cooldown reduction work on the E?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does? So
Yeah.
it'd be the same.
Yeah. Just the same.
Okay,
All right.
then I like it.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if that was gonna be a nerf. I didn't know his cooldown. I should. I do play Rumble. I think he's
Yeah.
very fun. And as I've said a million times, he's one of the best champions of the game. His ult does so much damage; it is unbelievable. Next up, though, we're gonna have Rise. Rise is gonna get a buff because he got a big nerf after
Last
the
patch.
last patch. He got a major nerf. So they're going to give him more damage on his overload since he can't really do as much with it. It's mostly at late ranks, so I mean it scales more and more at late ranks. It's actually going to be 40 more damage. Yeah, he was pretty weak after the last patch, which is why he's kind of been falling down the patch list. If you noticed, he was up in. Oh, he didn't make it to S. He was in the top of A though, but I think now he's in the bottom-ish of B. He's still good. He lost a lot of power. So this should probably just help him.
It's a good makeup because you couldn't cast Q as often because you didn't have the cooldown reduction, but now they just increase the damage, so it's kind of nice trade.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, so good change definitely for Rise. Shen now affects monsters, including Rift Sculler on his Shadow Dash, so that's a good thing, I suppose.
Kind of changing the jungle aspect a little bit, although I didn't really like him in the jungle, but
I actually kind of thought his new changes made him better in the jungle, though.
Well,
not
no,
better, but
yeah,
I did
agree.
not like him in lane quite as much, personally.
I agree, but it's still like this is the reason that they put Rift Scuttler is just because that's a jungle buff.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. No,
so.
it definitely is. It definitely is. I still don't really find myself playing the new rework. I'm not the biggest fan. It's not bad. I just don't like it. It's not my cup of tea currently. Cup of tea. Next up, though, we have Sivir. Pretty solid change. So Sivir was the strongest ADC at one point last season.
Because of her ulti.
Mostly because of her ulti. She was decent, too. Then they did kind of nerf her all over the board, and she's pretty much just fallen completely out of power. But this is a nice little change. So on her Ricochet, if Ricochet's primary attack is a crit, all the attacks will now crit as well that bounce. It won't just not crit. Does that make sense? So you'll actually, so if you throw one in when you have it active and it hits that first target and it crits, boom, you could crit a whole team with those bouncing around, which I think is how
really
it should have worked. Anyways, this will help her get a little bit more power for sure, though. For sure. Not that I think this will completely turn her around, but she's a crit building ADC. She should, she really has a pretty simplistic kit, when you think about it. So I like the changes. Maybe I'll play her again. Because I remember we all got Victorious Sivir skins. I don't think I've even seen one in game.
Well, that's because they nerfed Sivir right before Worlds.
That's true, too.
I actually really like this change as well. I think it gives her a different aspect of her game that she can utilize because she used to just be the pick, like pushing
safety pick.
80. Like pick. Like
oh yeah.
Like you see someone out of place, you turn on the ulti, and your whole team goon squads them, and then kill one person and then win the fight. And you can also push. This will give her some legitimacy in team fights as well.
Yeah, well, and she was just a safety pick for your team anyways. Like, besides becoming a priority because of her ultimate, you're like, well, even if our Sivir's doing bad, she can ult us all and she can block a spell to keep herself safe, and she'll just throw a boomerang. Like, she was just a safe pick. You couldn't really complain about her damage. So that was like the way Ashe was way back in the day. You're like, well, Ashe can just kind of slow them and ult them if she's not doing well. She'll at least slow a team and she'll at least hit somebody, hopefully, with her ultimate, and we'll get a stun off of it, even if she can't do anything else. So,
really, I like the change a lot.
Yeah, I do too. She lost a lot of power. I think, yeah, this will help her out big time. Mm-hmm. Tom Kench is back, getting another nerf. The width on his tongue lash is being taken down by 20, which I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't really care. I've seen less of him, but he still is pulling bans quite often just because he's so tanky. I personally still, as we've all said, or as I've always said, I don't think these are the problems with him. I think it's his gray health, personally. I don't know how they would fix that, but that's for them to figure out. It's their game. Abyssal Voyage. Also, delay before cast is being taken to 1 second instead of 0, but the total travel time is unchanged. While Tom Kench is animating into his Whirlpool, allies can still click him to join the voyage. So that one actually might be a buff in some ways, to be honest, because you could miss it pretty quick. So who knows? Instead of 0, it could be 1. It could help. So
I think actually helps experienced good Tom players just because I've had a couple, like I'm not saying that I am one, but like I've had a couple times where
you're pro.
you can thread the needle with tongue lash now, like in between minions or like around a minion to hit the person,
Oh,
whereas
true.
then you might get the minion before.
Yeah.
So I think that depending on how good you are with your Qs, you can actually make some plays that you previously couldn't. But I don't think that the R is that big of a deal because I don't remember seeing anybody use R where they would get hit anyway.
No.
But yeah, I agree with the gray shield or gray health or whatever it was called.
Yeah, gray health is the problem in my opinion.
The problem for me with that ability is the fact that it gives him health back.
Yes, they need to nerf how much he gets back.
They could just take it completely off. Just give him a double health bar, if that makes sense. Like you'll have that thing, and then he can activate it and get the shield for that much. But
well, if he doesn't get any health back, then why wouldn't he just activate it regardless?
Exactly.
No, I mean I hear what you're saying. I just feel like it's.
But then it goes on
intuitive.
cooldown.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's true.
Because it's still a pretty lengthy cooldown. It's like, 15 seconds or whatever.
No, that's true. That's true. Next up is Udyr. These changes are actually not as big as I think some people think they are, but let's talk about them because I know people are gonna be all angry about it because he's winning games, so they're just
God, Trick 2G.
I think I'm good. Anyways, let's talk about this. On his W, his turtle stance, it will be seeing a nerf on the shield amount by 20 at rank 5, and then it'll still be the same early. And then on his Phoenix stance, the damage on hit is still the same early, and then it's nerfed by 20 at his maximum rank. So obviously it scales up. Now the main thing I said there is it's still the same early. And I think that's an important thing to realize. He'll still be as effective on his, first clear, and he'll still have approximately the same damage on all those ganks. And, until he has it maxed out, 6 levels into the game, 7 levels into the game, depending on your maxing order, because he's all weird. And realistically, his 2 strongest stances are, in fact, Phoenix and Turtle. So maybe this will actually have people change up his stance, because remember when people used to have, different stance builds?
Yeah.
Now it's just all copy-paste, because, hey, Phoenix is the best. Get the Ludens and run crazy. So
I don't really care about Udyr.
I don't know. I think he's incredibly easy to navigate around.
Yeah.
Because you can kite him so bad. It's like you can. If he gets really far ahead, yeah, he becomes a nuisance because he's just tanky at that point. But overall, the big thing, at least when I played him the other day for the first time in a while, good lord, you can just sit in the jungle all the time. You never have to leave it. He's got way too much clear and sustain. They just needed to do something about that in general, because if you never have to go back to base, you're never going to be, way too much. Granted, there's some other ones that can kind of do it who get health back. Gragas is pretty good, although he still has to make a trip back early. And then Poppy's similar, but that's just because she can pick up her shield, but that's counterable because if she can't pick it up, then she doesn't have it. So, but I don't know. People, I think, yeah, you can crush with Udyr in pretty low leagues, but he's really, really hard to actually execute with as you move up. So.
In low elos, you can win with Udyr just because of people not knowing how to play around him, or not underestimating the damage that comes from him, or how to deal with him.
Yeah.
But you have to basically outthink the game when you play him in higher elos.
Yeah.
And there's very few people who can do that.
It's always unfortunate for a champion who can get basically countered by wards. A ward effectively counters Udyr.
Yeah.
He's got no surprise ability on a gank. If you're getting caught in mid lane by Udyrs, your warding sucks.
People are freaking out about the mage. I forgot what, Runic Echo or whatever.
Yeah.
They're freaking out about that build, and you guys got to remember that you can still build Devourer, you can still build Cinder Hulk, you can still build these other jungling items. It's just that this one was a little a little bit better, so there was no point to use the other ones. They're just trying to even them out.
Yeah. So, but Trick wins in Challenger.
Trick is, I believe, the highest he's gotten was low Masters, and most of the time he hovers in like Diamond 1 on his main account, but he doesn't play enough on his Diamond account because he always is playing on different Smurfs and shit to
There
make
was
himself look really good.
There was a confession of a bunch of Diamond players who streamed saying that they love doing the bronze to Diamond climb, and they really only usually play them up to about low, like mid gold, and then they stop and they do a new one.
Yeah. Well, a lot like I know the professional players play until Diamond 1, and then the queue times get too high.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just
and we're not saying
Trick's a good player. Trick's
Yeah.
Diamond 1 level player, but he makes himself look a lot better than he is because he's always on 17 different accounts.
Yeah. No, the other thing too, I will say, I think you can honestly win at Challenger level play with any champion in the game. You just have to be good. Or be good at that champion. You can be a one-trick pony on a certain champion. That's happened to many pros who've gotten into the league. They were one-trick ponies in solo queue. They got to teams and they fizzled out because they couldn't adapt. They were a Renekton main or they were a LeBlanc main, and the minute LeBlanc got banned, they couldn't play anything else. It has happened before. So, yeah, I mean, not saying you can't win games with him. I didn't say he's bad. You just have to know what the champion does and how it works. So, next up is Victor. He's going to actually be getting nerfed. He has been sitting high up on the tier list. He's been an S. He has a lot of damage. There's no arguing about that. They nerfed his death ray damage by 20 at rank 5. It's still the same at rank 1, but also seeing a nerf similar to Udyr. So, now you know. That's how it works. Nerf to Victor. That's right, Kyle? Yeah, it is.
I don't really have anything to say about Victor either.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it made sense. He's needed a nerf. He's super strong.
I like him, though.
I think he's fun, too, yeah. And then
Can I address something really quick?
Oh, yeah, we're trying.
I'm reading chat, and they're saying that D Gates from Trick is Challenger. Yeah, he is Challenger, but you guys have to remember that it's the start of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And the 300 people or the 200 people in Challenger will not be Challenger at the end of the season. Like he finished Diamond on that account last season. So let's pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. Also, who cares? I'm just going to go with who cares.
Yeah. Well, I was just addressing the...
Can confirm. Yeah, no, I hear you. Xin Chao. Oh, he's getting a nerf, you say? Oh, I'm so surprised. Not at all. He got super buffed in the last patch. It made him fly up the champion tier list, and for good reason, because his win rate skyrocketed and everybody dies. And so, to counter this, the big problem is that it's the combination synergy that his W has with Rage Blade and Sated because of the damage it deals and his ratios. So what they're doing is the heal ratio on Battlecry, the ability power, is being taken down by 0.3 because he gets a lot of healing from a little bit of AP. So they're going to change that since he's going to be building Rage Blade. And then his attack speed is going down as well on his W when you activate it. It's still the same early, which will be fine for the jungle clear, but instead of it going up to 80%, it's only going to be 60 because Sated, Rage Blade, Battlecry, freaking unbelievable amount of damage. So yeah.
I think that this is kind of a strange change.
They
could take the ability power ratio off completely and it wouldn't affect him at all.
I kind of agree. Yeah. I don't think he needs it.
Because you build him full 80. I just.
Well, no, people don't build them. Well, so what?
Well, you get what I'm saying. Like they build.
Yes.
Like the damage items that they build have AD on them. They aren't AP.
Yeah.
So they could take it off completely, and he would be completely the same. But the attack speed buff does change it, but also I see Xin Zhao building Devour all the time, and so it's not going to change it that much because he's already building a shit ton of attack speed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is a nerf to. This is a side way of nerfing Rage Blade.
Yeah, because they don't want to actually nerf Rage Blade again.
Yeah. So, Yeah, it's such a weird way to go about it. So I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, he needed something done to him. We'll see if this is effectively going to help that. But he's real strong. No arguments there. Well, that's the champion changes. Now we're on to the item changes. Boots of Swiftness. Movement speed is down by 5. So if the increase in gold didn't take you away from buying it in the previous patch, maybe the decrease in movement speed will. So I kind of
tenacity.
I kind of stopped it. And they have exactly. They buffed tenacity boots. You get 10% more tenacity. Guess what value of boots just went up a lot? Wah! Mercs.
Wah.
Wah. So those pretty big changes. I like them overall though for those first two. Mana Immune now grants 1 mana every 8 seconds, so it's gonna be easier to stack. So that's good. This helps those bad Ezreal players I was talking about. Good news, it helps you. Unfortunately, probably not enough. But that's still a good change.
Actually, Miramana's like one of those things that I don't think that getting 1 mana every 8 seconds is going to affect it that much. Like, I think you're still going to get it at about the same time as you did previously. But, like, I don't know. With the Ezreal changes, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
But I do like the upgraded changes.
Yeah, so the upgraded to Miramana, you can no longer toggle the damage on or off. Shock, single target spells or basic attacks on champions consume 3% of your current mana and deal twice that as bonus physical damage. This effect only triggers when you have more than 20% maximum mana. So
you don't have any idea how many times I would see blue build Ezreal and then not activate Miramana.
Yeah.
So like this just takes that like forget it helps bad Ezreals.
Yay, Urgot buffs.
Which is fine.
Sorta.
Rise of the Urgots.
Rise of the Urgots. Too bad he got super nerfed like 2 patches in a row.
Yeah. No, I like this change. I think it's good.
Yeah. It's
positivity, woo!
Yay! Runic Echoes is getting a nerf. See a trick. Movement speed's going down.
3% movement speed?
Yeah,
right.
they're taking 3% movement speed. This also does take a little bit of power out of Elise, the strongest jungler in the game currently too. So, they already did nerf her movement speed. So, kind of a double movement speed nerfs on those champions. Also, just in general, Runic's really good. A little bit stronger than I think they thought. And then Iceborne Gauntlet. They're changing it. Slow no longer lingers after leaving the icy ground. They've removed that. So they are adjusting it so it no longer does that, right? Is that what they mean? So it doesn't linger, it's just gone,
yes.
Right? Okay.
So like once you get out of the circle, you're no longer slowed.
The size ratio, though, is going to be getting buffed from 0.45 bonus armor to 0.55 bonus armor. And its base size is being decreased a little bit. Realistically, this is kind of another
nerf to Ezreal.
Nerf to Ezreal. It's a nerf to other champions too a little bit, but realistically, once they have armor, it won't be a nerf at all.
This is a really good buff for Poppy.
Yes.
And like Malphite.
Yep.
And then every other champion that I can think of building it, it's a nerf for.
A little bit of a nerf, yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like the item's still really good. It's still the point.
It will still do its job.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's still what it is.
Yeah. Sturk's Gauge is next. They're nerfing it. The health on it is being decreased by 100. I'm not really surprised. The build path is different. It no longer takes an extra ruby crystal. It just takes the Jorm's Fist and a long sword.
Change it to a long sword.
Yeah, change it to a long sword. So 50 gold difference.
Cool.
But the gold is unchanged, so overall. But it is nerfed. I always thought this had a little bit too much health on it, and apparently it did. I was right.
I always think that for some reason, it might just be because I play a whole bunch of Quinn too, but I think that Sterix Gauge is one of the most like overrated items in the game. Because if you play around the passive, you're basically wasting gold. Because it's not gold efficient without the passive.
Yeah.
So to me, if you play around the passive properly, then it's really, really waste. Like it's a big waste of money.
Yeah.
Like there's way better things that you could buy. So I like the item because when you get in team fights, you're just going to activate it because you can't, but like in one-on-ones, you can actually work around the passive. So it's fine to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a cool item.
Yeah. Next up is Titanic and Ravenous Hydra. They no longer can be swapped.
It's a Fiora nerf.
It is kind of a Fiora nerf. I do like it. I do like this change where you can't just build a Hydra and then decide Titanic or Ravenous or switch across, because it makes you need to understand where the game's going, how it's swinging, how
what your role in it is.
Yeah, what your role is, how it's going to pan out. And some people are like, that's unfair. And I'm like, well, kinda, but not really. I mean, yeah, a LeBlanc doesn't always want to rush a Lichbane, or not Lichbane, Void Staff, but sometimes that's your next item, regardless, because you're forced into it because of the way they're building. So I like this change. You can't just swap it because you need more health, which is really what everybody did. You'd buy a Ravenous Hydra to try to get ahead, and then you realize that you
Wasn't
didn't.
it the opposite? I thought people got Titanic until they got Black Cleaver, and then they switched it to Ravenous.
No, I would see. Well, some Fioras would go Ravenous because they want the damage early, but if they couldn't then go toe to toe later because they didn't have the health, they'd swap it and they'd just use the active from Titanic, and they'd have the extra health to live through fights. So, I mean, it's probably happened both ways, but now you can't do it. Okay.
I think it's just once again how the game's progressing, like before. Because if you're like more split pushing, I guess yeah. Either way, it just depends on what your role is on your team.
Yes.
So
Warlord's Bloodlust is up next.
It's still not used at all.
It had two main problems. For starters, it's incredibly narrow, where certain keystones might restrict you from attacking. Yada yada yada. Anyways, skipping down. Attacks on champions gain increasingly more lifesteal based on your missing health, up to 20%. Half effect versus minions. Well, I don't know.
It's still not better than Fervor.
Yeah, I kind of
or
agree.
Thunderlords.
Yeah.
Because let's think of this like grand scheme. So like you're taking on an 80 carry and you get below 20% health, you're probably gonna be fucking dead.
Yeah.
Right? So
but it can still be used on minions. It's not
well, I know, but like I don't know. To me, it's just if you get out of position as an 80 carry and you drop below 20% health, you're probably going to get hyper focused and then you're going to die. And so that's why Fervor is.
Well, you're not going to get below 20. They're saying you can get up to 20% lifesteal.
Okay. That's good.
It's based on your health.
I misunderstood.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Does that make more sense? So I can see it being better in some cases, but not like, I don't know, lifesteal's nice and all.
I'd rather win early game with Fervor and with Thunderlords than be stronger in the mid and late game.
I need to see how much this actually is affecting you in lane. If this can straight up, background noise, I know. Apparently it's really cold today and my heater just wants to run, which is nice. It keeps me warm. But apparently, I want to see how much this affects you if you're sitting around that 50 to 70% health mark while you're using it in lane. Yeah, I still don't think it'll be as good, but we'll see. We shall see. I don't really care for it. Also, fun fact, Riot didn't really mean to come out with these masteries this season.
What?
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was like something they'd been working on and weren't gonna actually push it through in the preseason, and they're like, let's just do it. So they decided to, and it's really funny. So it made Alex T super salty too. He hated it. He freaking hated it so bad that he couldn't stand. Boy. So I'm sorry, Alex. I know I didn't think it was right anyways. So.
Yeah, the League of Legends.
Alex
T.
Ass. Yeah.
It's only the most popular game in the world.
Correct. And then now there's a new mastery in the game. You see this? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I seen it.
Expose Weakness is a new mastery added to Ferocity Tier 1. Damaging enemy champions causes them to take 3% increased damage from your allies. Could be quite good on supports.
AoE supports.
AoE supports.
Like if you hit 4 people with Braum ulti, I wonder if it would activate from like Nami if she put her bubble on someone. Would that activate?
Yeah. That'd be good.
I don't know. It kind of just depends on what it is. Kind of how quickly it activates.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I do like that. What are they taking out again?
Lady Assassin Master Expose Weakness, as it means about many players perfectly happy with Bond of Stones, Frosty, the Bloodthirsty Sports. I thought it was just added.
Oh.
Just says added. I don't know if that's...
Ferocity Tier 1.
Yeah.
So it'd be, instead of Fury, or it's be with Fury, Sorcery. Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
Alright. Summoner Rift changes.
Summoner Rift Merkwolf, Greater
Merkwolf.
Merkwolf. Spirit switches sides when you smite it across the river. Oh, instead of across the mid lane.
Huh.
This is now mentioned in the Merkwolf's tooltip. Interesting. I got nothing. Lane minions. The first wave of minions ignore unit collision on the way to lane. So you
About
can't...
fucking time.
Yeah. So you can't do any shenanigans.
For people who don't know, people used to just like basically get in the way.
Yep,
And
I do.
you could make the lane closer to your turret so you'd be a little bit safer. Or set up easy ganks.
Yep. Oh man, I used to do this all the time. Block the minions, block the minions, block the minions.
Fire people. What?
Dominion changes. It is gone. All right. If you had over 100 wins, I'm sorry, but you get this really fancy.
Oh, wait,
ugly
wait a
thing.
second.
Wait, what? Did you have over 100 wins?
We gotta find out, Maury. Oh, I was close. I had 32.
You had 32 wins? Shoot.
On my main account that I've had since Dominion came out.
Wait, I don't know
wins.
how many wins I have in Dominion. I'm not logged in, so I can't check.
That's alright, that's alright.
New champion select. Champ grid is now accessible at all phases of champion select. You can now change your pick intent at all phases prior to your final pick.
You had 31 wins, Andrew.
I had 31?
Yeah.
31 wins?
Pretty sure we probably had 30 of our wins together.
Probably, most likely. That game
And then we never played it ever
again. Fixed a bug where changing the name of a masteries page during champion select would not update the page's name. Alright, that's a good change because that shit was stupid.
Matter?
Shipping during 6.4. Pick intent no longer revealed. Good. Bans now appear in match history. Good. New champion select should feel more forgiving when locking in picks and bans with less than 1 second. Good.
Good.
New champion select defaults to your last selected skin. Good.
Good. This is all stupid.
Oh, I love when people show up and they ask for people to subscribe. You get blocked.
Oh, snap. Bug fixes.
Bug fixes. Poppy's Keeper's Verdict no longer deals damage twice to epic monsters when fully charged. Fixed a bug where Kindred would gain a stack of marked
Wouldn't gain a
Kindred.
stack.
Wouldn't? Oh, wouldn't if targeted jungle monster was killed too far away from the spirit or from its spawn point. That's weird.
I've never seen that before.
Fixed a frame rate issue that occurred when an enemy challenger Nidalee entered vision. Weird. The Eagle Screech.
It's no longer global.
Oh.
That was my favorite part of that skin.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I had no idea.
Yeah, me neither. I don't have it. Upcoming skins: Blood Moon Cannon and Blood Moon Yajimbo.
So I'm gonna go against the grain really quick. So you're just gonna have to bear with me for a second.
I'm ready for the assault.
I actually really like the Kennen skin,
I do too, actually.
and the
Looks
Yasuo skin just doesn't have enough to like warrant me buying another Yasuo skin.
Well, I don't know why you buy a Yasuo skin.
Whoa! Shh.
I actually don't really like his.
Kit.
Well, no, not that. I don't really like the art for it.
I think that they put too much detail in the background and not enough detail into the actual person.
So, but that's whatever. Doesn't really matter. I mean, get them if you like them. Support the game you like if you like the game. If you're Alex T, though, he'll probably get both, right? That Alex guy, he'll probably get both because favorite.
He loves League of Legends.
He loves League of Legends.
He loves League of Legends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Makes sense to me. I like it. I like it like that.
That is the patch, though.
But yeah. That's pretty much patch notes. Let me think about it. No, yeah, that is the patch notes.
Oh my gosh, can we sidebar for a second? The new
Let's
LeBlanc
sidebar.
skin, the
Ooh.
one that makes her look like
Elderberry.
Elderberry.
Elderberry LeBlanc.
Where schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
And Hextech
no,
Annie.
I just don't like that skin.
Ooh, I kind of like it.
Really?
The Elderberry LeBlanc? I think it looks
Elderberry
neat.
LeBlanc.
Yeah, Elderberry LeBlanc. I mean,
The reason I don't like it is because it looks exactly like Nami's skin. Like, she looks like a fucking fish. She's got these gill things hanging out.
well, she's a elderberry. Elderwood.
She's a fucking burst mage. Don't make her look
bitch?
like a
Le bitch?
sushi. Burst mage.
Burst
No
mage.
sushi.
No sushi. That's true. That's
I
true.
love sushi.
Hextech Annie looks kind of weird, but it will be available in the next patch where they were supposedly going to be releasing the Hextech crafting mode to the game. If you do not know what that is, I have looked over Hextech crafting. You should watch the video. Type it in.
Find it at the Angry Honey Badger channel.
So if you want to know more about Hextech crafting and all the free skins you will be getting, or free champions, well, not really free. Yeah, actually, they can be free, depending on how you go about it. Yeah, so go check that out. But that's going to be us for the patch. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave us a like if you could. It is free for you. It's fun for us. It makes my insides warm and fuzzy. It's down below. It's one of the last free things you can do in this life. Might as well do it. Right? 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 We got it. If you made it to the end of the video as well, we love you more, and you're a much cooler person. I'm not actually making that up. That's just true. So yeah.
Actually accurate.
Let us know what you guys' thoughts are on this patch in the comments. And I guess we'll probably just see all of you guys next time. Sounds good? It does sound
Bye-bye.
good. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now.